Okay. All right. Hello, folks. This is Bob Marshall from the Lakeville Cable Advisory Committee, calling this meeting to order in accordance with the provisions allowed by Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2023. The May 11th, 2023 public meeting of the Lakeville Cable Advisory Committee will be held remotely. However, to review this meeting in progress, please go to facebook.com/LakeCAM. You do not need a Facebook account to view. I'm trying to get this bug that's on my desk here. You do not need a Facebook account to view the meeting. This meeting will be recorded and available to be viewed at a later time at http://www.lakecam.tv/. Okay, and let's just call the roll. Tom Sorignano.
I'm here.
And Walter Healy.
Here.
And Bob Marshall is here, and we have Jose from LakeCAM, who is not a member, but has been a huge help to us in getting these meetings up and running and so forth. So thank you to Jose and LakeCAM. Okay, we have 4 items on the agenda today. The first one is a discussion and possible vote for the approval of the minutes of April 20th, 2023. And you guys have had them. You read
So
them.
moved.
Any questions before we?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Walter, is that correct?
Yes.
And a second, Tom?
Yes.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, Tom?
Aye.
Walter?
Aye.
Bob says aye, and the minutes are approved. Item number 2, discussion of seeking new members for our Cable Advisory Committee. I know that I had a couple of guys that I told you that I would contact, and I have, and they're not, they haven't responded so far, so I've been unsuccessful, but we do have one person, Tom, and you just said you spoke to the guy that you had in mind, and he's not ready yet either.
Now he's going to work till the end of the year, and then after that, he'll be free to join up.
Okay, all right. Well, there's more on the horizon then perhaps. And I received an email, actually, I think it was late last night, from Tracy, who indicated we had a person who was interested in joining the committee. His name is Bill Hogue. Lives on Galfrey Street in Lakeville. And I did speak with him today. Unlike us, he's not retired. So meeting during the afternoon may be an issue. I told him I didn't think that would be an issue because in years past, we've met at night and that's not a problem. And you guys can work that out at some future point. So he is working. And I think he's looking to just become involved in town activities. I don't know a whole lot about him, but we certainly have been beating the bushes for a couple of years now. What say you?
Nothing to say. He submitted a letter to the select person.
He did, yes.
Well,
A very brief email.
Right. Well, they were the one to approve his appointment.
Right, but I think they'd be looking to us for a recommendation. As a matter of fact, if we decide to do that, I think we should move to recommend to them that he be appointed, and then we vote on it and so forth. Tom, any further word?
Well, I just hope he doesn't expect it to be too exciting. I know he was running for some more complicated
Right.
offices in the town.
Well, he has withdrawn his, I am told, he has withdrawn his application for the FinCom. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I was told that when I called town hall today. And so there should be no conflict, in that area. And he's looking to get involved in, town activities, and I think we should,
Well, not having spoken to him or met him at all, what's the usual process? Do you invite him to a meeting so we can talk?
to be honest with you, it's been so long. I mean, look at how I got Walter one time just chatting with him. Walter, would you consider? And he said yes, and I did the same thing with you. We all knew each other, so that was a different story.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that as of today, this is my last meeting. So whatever procedure you want to use is up to you.
What are your feelings, Walter?
If someone wants to join the committee, let's get him in, and then we
Okay.
can
Well,
get him.
then
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to recommend that he be recommended to the selectmen.
Okay, Walter, is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, Tom,
Aye.
Walter,
All right.
Bob says aye. Okay, so Walter, will you have the minutes reflect that we recommended that Bill Hoag be recommended to the Board of Selectmen of Select Board to be appointed to the Cable Advisory Committee?
Okay, so go send an email to Tracy, or what are we doing?
Well, now that we've taken the vote, yeah, I think probably Tom, well, whoever, our next question kind of directs an answer to question.
Okay, so let's do
The
reorganization.
chair probably should write an email saying what just took place
Right.
with
I have
respect
a
to,
question, Bob.
yeah.
If we're gonna recommend him to the selectmen, should we, as a precautionary thing, just suggest that they ask him if there's any conflict of interest? Does he have any connections with either of our cable providers?
That's a good point.
That's why I was gonna hopefully meet him before. voting.
Right.
But that's okay, as long as that one question gets answered.
Yeah,
We don't want to be in a position where we find out later that.
that's true. And for those people who are watching, we did have a person who was interested but was working for one of the cable companies. So I looked into it with the state, and this person did as well. And basically, she came to the conclusion that it would be so difficult to jump through the hoops that her role on the committee would be, her word, useless. So she decided to back out, and we appreciate her interest, of course. That's a good question. I mean, I spoke to him today, Tom. I sent you his phone number and so forth. If you want to call him later on tonight and ask him that question, or Walter, whoever is going to be the chair, then you'll have your answer. I'd be happy to call him for you and pass it on, but it might be a good way to introduce yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
But that's an interesting question, and we certainly, I hadn't thought of it till earlier when I read that. So it's a good point. It's, as a matter of fact, you know what? I know the answer, I think. He told me he works for a fishing company in New Bedford.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I think it's highly unlikely he's got a second gig with one of the cable companies.
Oh, another conflict could be if he was a major stockholder in Verizon or something like that, where,
Yeah, I don't know what the status would be there.
Yeah.
I think he or you would have to check with the Ethics Commission, although I will tell you this, my conversations with the Ethics Commission have been muted at best, they don't like to reveal much
No,
at all. They like to deal with the person involved and give them an answer,
Hmm.
sort of.
well, there's very little chance that there's a conflict, but
Very little,
it's
right?
so
very
simple
little.
just to ask,
Right, right, exactly. Okay, so that's done. So then the last item that we've got on the agenda is to talk about the committee reorganization. This is going to be my last meeting. So, gentlemen, what is
motion.
your pleasure?
I make a motion, Tom be chairperson.
I'll step down and second that.
Do I get to vote on that too?
Yeah,
Yes, you certainly do.
Okay.
Any
Just
discussion?
first of all, before we vote, I would like to say that I'm sorry to see you go, Bob, because
Well,
you've done most of the heavy lifting and that, thank God that that stuff is behind us for the next couple of years. But thank you for doing what you did,
well, it really has been a labor of love. I have to say that when we're not beating up each other over a license that's pending,
Mhm.
and I say beating each other, I don't mean us, I don't mean we three, but I mean the cable companies and so forth, more them beating us up than the other way around. When we're not doing that, I find it very satisfying to get a phone call from a citizen saying they're having this difficulty or that difficulty. We had one down at LeBaron on one of those new streets
Mhm.
that was connected, said that he wasn't connected yet. He called and he couldn't get connected. And he eventually got in touch with me, and I called our Verizon rep, got solved right away.
All right.
And we had another fellow with a low hanging wire, which was a Comcast wire, more than 250 feet long. And it was pulling apart some part of his house. He thought it was a Verizon wire because he had switched over a couple of years ago and called Verizon out. They said, no, it's not ours. It's some other cable company. Well, there can only be one. So I called that cable company and they said, we'll send somebody out, take a look at it. We'll set up an appointment, et cetera, et cetera. Those kinds of things, when you're able to know where to direct the question and get some help, those are very satisfying. In the long term, I think it was, I think this last one was the 7th cable license that I've been involved with. And yes, they're difficult and troubling and more so this time around than in years past. They were troubling then, but these were far more troubling. I think the service or the desire of the cable companies to provide service, I see as having changed over the years. And my only evaluation as to the reason for that is profit. That's the only conclusion I can come to. It is still satisfying, as I'm sure you guys realized after the last 3.5 years with Comcast and Verizon. I found it very satisfying, even though it wasn't what I considered to be the best license we would have wanted. It certainly was, I think, the best license we could get. That's satisfying. Thank you for your thanks. And it's, as I say, it's been a labor of love. And I'm not going to go too far. I've been asked to serve on the LakeCAM board. So I'm giving that some thought as well. We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion about Tom Sirignano being selected the chair? No further discussion? All those in favor, Walter?
aye.
Aye. Bob? Aye.
Am I?
It's okay to vote for yourself, Tom.
Mm.
Okay, I think that's all that we have on the agenda.
Hmm.
We don't have any other issues that may rightfully come before us. So I guess that's it. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure, and I thank you very much for all of your support and hard work over the years.
Thank you, Bob.
Yep, thank you, Bob.
Okay,
I would think that after our next meeting, we need to deal with the idea of chair, vice chair and
Oh, yeah.
secretary.
Oh,
you know what?
We need to do
Reorganization
that.
includes that. We probably should take, although maybe you want to have a larger, closer to full committee.
Well, I
Although
would like to
Walter,
nominate Walter for vice chair if he's willing to do it.
No, I'll
How
stay
about-
as secretary.
how about Secretary Walter?
Yeah, I'll stay for secretary, but I told you, this is limited for me.
Right, I understand.
My vision is getting worse and I just,
Oh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
So-
that's very understandable, Walter. All right, if that's the case, I'll step down and move that Walter be nominated for secretary.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, Tom,
Aye.
Walter?
aye.
Bob says aye, so Walter, you'll stay as the secretary, so we're still seeking a vice chair, and maybe this new person will learn faster than he thought. Although, as you say, the heavy lifting is done for the immediate future, I think.
I think that the new person just needs to get a copy of the 2 licenses that are in.
I've
effect.
already sent them to him, yes.
Basically, he just needs to read that and try and read through and come up with the, whatever number of questions that he might have and
Right,
go from there. I mean, for me, it was a matter that we were fishing and all of a sudden I was on a committee. So,
so I also told Bill, I said, look, I won't be on the committee, but if there's anything, any question that you have, if you want to call me, or I said, you can call Tom and he can give you his take on it and try to help you understand, and there may be things that occurred before Tom and Walter came on the committee that they may not know about, and you can feel free to call me at any time. And I have included that in my letter of resignation, which I'll be handing in later on today at town hall. So
now, the town hall has all our minutes from the past.
they do,
All right, so then, because I don't keep them anymore.
right?
So, all
Right.
right, so,
I have all of the minutes going back for all of the years that I was a chair, or that when I came back on the committee, which I think was, I don't know, 15 or somewhere around there. I kept all those.
Walter, I couldn't hear what you said. What'd you say? You do not take minutes any longer?
I take minutes, but I don't keep them.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know if somebody was doing it remotely now or whatever.
No.
It's- And I'll send you a copy of the minutes to include in the next agenda.
Right, so
for
Okay.
approval.
Tom, I would suggest that when Walter sends them to you, that you keep them in a file on your computer.
And then once they're approved, you send a copy to the town hall.
Right,
Exactly, yeah. So,
Okay,
yeah,
but I don't,
we should do that. That's one thing that as the chairman, I'm gonna have to make sure we do that in a timely fashion, so.
now
Well,
the problem always is that we're one meeting behind. We didn't, when we were bargaining, we didn't meet as a full committee very often. We met as a subcommittee, but those didn't require, I mean, we certainly took, as you all painfully know, tons of minutes and records of what we talked about, but it wasn't something we brought back to the full committee until we had a large section of information to approve and put into the minutes. a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen or what have you.
Well, the problem is that even before that, we met maybe once every 2 months. That
Right.
way, before, once every 3 months. And so you have to wait until the next meeting to approve them before we can send them over.
Right.
And so.
So that, and
it's not
that's
like
always going to be an issue, Tom.
It's not, is that acceptable to continue doing it like that?
have no choice.
I don't know that you've got a choice, but
Hmm.
you can call Tracy and ask that question. She'll be able to direct you.
Yeah.
I don't see how to get around it unless you
Hmm.
have a meeting just to approve the minutes. But then you've got the minutes of that meeting that you're behind.
I know.
Yeah.
So it's.
Well,
it's-
the only other thing you could possibly do if Tracy agrees is that you can send her a copy of the draft minutes
That's true.
Mhm.
for their
You could do
information.
that.
And then once we meet and final and approve the minutes, then you send them a final copy of anything we edit in the minutes. So
Right.
that's something that you can do.
As a
Um,
matter of fact, Walter, now that you mention that, you make me remember Deputy Reese Boyajian, who fills in different positions in town hall, and one of them was to make sure all the minutes of all the boards are current and posted and so forth, had written me one time about a certain set of minutes. It was actually quite a while back. And I remember that I had sent them, but she didn't have them, and that's fine. So I went back in the file. But they were only draft minutes at that point, and she used them until we came back and we approved them, and I had resent them and we reviewed them and so forth. So that has been done, and it's a good idea, Walter. Maybe you could, that extra meeting, Tom, you could use draft minutes until they're approved.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would solve that problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, gentlemen?
No, just again, reiterate, thank you very much for all your work.
Well, you're
And
all
hopefully
entirely
this-
welcome, and the thank you
Hopefully the
goes.
select board and the town appreciate it.
Well, I think they do. I mean, from time to time, I bump into people and they'll say thank you and so forth. And I know the select board, when we met with them in March to have the license approved, they did express their thanks. And as I have to you three gentlemen as well, it would have been very difficult, if not impossible, to have completed the last two licenses last year and this year without you. And as we know, there were some issues that, I wanted one way and you guys wanted the other, and that's democracy. That's the way it works. And I appreciate that, and I'm very thankful that you guys were there to help us bring this to a conclusion.
Jose, you didn't have to talk at all during this meeting, so I just want to ask you, how are things going for you at LakeCAM?
They're okay. As you know, we went from 5 people to 2, so we've been having issues covering meetings, but we're doing the best we can.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Fine.
interested, although we can take care of this once we're done with the meeting. If you want to stay on for a bit, Jose, I can ask you a question about,
Sure.
what we pay our people and so forth. But in terms of the meeting, is there anything else to bring up for the meeting?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion's
I'll
made.
second it.
Second, any discussion? All those in favor, Tom,
Aye.
Walter?
Aye.
Bob says aye. Nobody opposed? All right, we are adjourned.